You know what's funny? I have been a journalist for nearly 20 years. TV, radio, Canada, the US.
Mayor Johnson, welcome back to the studio.
Hey, thank you for having me back and congratulations. In the
Thank
loop,
you.
in the morning.
In the mornings. Good to see you at 9 a.m.
Likewise.
Let's dive in.
I think it's definitely a show of force. I mean, if you saw the images going up and down the Chicago River today, I mean, they're standing there literally posing with military-style weapons, and the logistics just don't make sense. Who are you arresting on the river?
John Legend's going to be returning to the Windy City later this summer as part of his anniversary tour. And he joins me now to chat about what is in store. Mr. Legend, what a pleasure to have you on Reset. Welcome.
My pleasure. I'm so excited to speak with you.
I've covered politics, health, arts and culture, education, and no matter where I go, I get the same questions, the same 5 questions at conferences, in my DMs, from students, former colleagues, from people who want to leave journalism. And so I have decided that I'm going to answer those 5 questions honestly right now, because what it feels like inside the industry looks a lot different on the outside. All right, let's start with a big one. Number 1, how do you avoid burnout? The short answer is I didn't at first, early in my career. And I mean, right through to just a few years ago. So this is recent. I used to say yes to everything. Whatever shift. I remember working 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Sundays at one point for a 24-hour news channel. And the mindset was, every assignment, whether it's breaking news or if you want me to fill in, anchoring, reporting, weekends, I would say yes. I was consciously aware, though, of not working myself to the point of exhaustion. So it wasn't like I was just willing to do just about anything to prove my commitment. But there was a point where I think it got to be a little bit too much. Doing the news tends to come with some level of doing too much. But this work, especially when you're covering politics or public health crises or trauma, it can stay with you. It follows you home and it sits with you. And at some point, which I said was a few years ago, I realized passion without boundaries becomes self-destruction. So I had to learn to detach. Not emotionally disconnect from the stories, but to stop letting them just ruin me, right? That meant not checking my email at midnight, taking real days off, and staying as unplugged as possible while I was off. It also meant protecting that time with my family, right? And having interests outside of the news cycle. Like for me, sometimes it's watching reality TV or going shopping. The point is, I wanted to give myself permission in any way possible to say no sometimes, because you can do this job without letting it completely consume your identity. It is possible, okay? And burnout isn't just about working less. It's about working sustainably. So keep that in mind. The second question that a lot of people have asked me is, why stay in broadcast when so many people are leaving? And this one comes up a lot, right? People are saying things like, why are you still in radio? Isn't radio dead? Why did you leave TV for radio? Why don't you just go fully digital? You know what? You should start a Substack. Just do your own thing. And listen, I respect the pivots, right? I get it. I have worked in recent years to sharpen my skills outside of news. I studied film for quite some time. The journalism industry has changed dramatically. I understand why people are pivoting, right? We're seeing a lot of layoffs. We're seeing newsrooms shrink. A lot of people turning to podcasting, creating. It's real. But I'm too in love with what I do, with the storytelling part of the job, to leave. Like with being in radio, for me, there's something powerful about someone inviting my voice into their kitchen every morning. And live interviews are the best. There's so much range, especially with the show that I do on WBEZ, where the topics can vary per hour, per day, and it just keeps me on my toes. I love to react in real time. And again, a lot of people I went to school with have pivoted, so I understand. I'm just not there yet. Oh, this is a big one. A lot of people want to know. They're super curious. How did you transition from Canada to the US? I used to get asked that question all the time from friends and family and colleagues on both sides of the border. I think it's funny though, because they think that I've done this like magical, never before done thing. And really, All I did, guys, was apply for some jobs and eventually landed one. If you're new here, I started my career in Toronto. That's in Ontario, Canada. I had already spent nearly a decade building relationships in the top newsrooms and building my credibility. Then I moved to the US. I made another video on this that gets a little bit deeper into what that was like. It's called Life Begins at the End of Your Comfort Zone. If you want a little bit more detail on that part of my journey, check it out. It's on this channel. But yeah, when I moved to the US, I kind of had to do it all over again. I had to prove myself again. It was such a different place, a different political landscape, lots of cultural context to get to sink your teeth into, depending on which region of the United States you were working in. There was just so much to learn. Sometimes even different newsroom norms. Obviously the journalism fundamentals are universal, but how I transitioned here, I would say that was my persistence. I would chalk it up to my persistence, my talent, and once I got here, knowing that I had to prove myself fast. Question 4, do internships really matter? Yes, I get that question a lot, and I'm shocked because what? And I say it with nuance. I also say it with a lot of bias because I went through college and I had an internship every single year, every semester, and I'm quite convinced that my internships are what helped me land my first job. Internships matter because newsrooms are about getting the work done and getting it done on deadline and accurately. It's also about relationships. There's a lot of relationship building happening in a newsroom. You learn the ropes there. You get to see things up close. You see how editors make decisions. And you get to understand what the job really feels like because it's not like what people think. And you really get to see that with an internship. But internships should be paid. No one can afford to work for free these days. So one thing we do have to work on is making sure that there are more equitable opportunities available. But once you do get into an internship, a paid internship, hopefully, here's what I want you to do. Treat it like a job interview every single day. Ask questions, ask for feedback, and please stay in touch with producers and reporters and editors after you leave the internship. One of my pet peeves is running into students when I'm out at networking events or just the ones that I work with and mentor in my newsroom. And I'll give them my contact information to reach out if they have any questions or if they need direction. And crickets. The industry is smaller than you think. You never know where an internship can actually take your career. So if someone is offering you advice, someone who's seasoned in this business, take it and run. The 5th question that I get a lot is, why are you still doing this after 20 years in the business? And this one might be my favorite question because it kind of forces me to reflect. I think I'm still here because I'm still curious, right? Like I said before, I still love asking questions for a living. I still believe in sharing information and helping people, and that makes for stronger communities. Like I said, I still get energized by a really good interview. When someone says something that shifts how people think, when I get that magical quote in the middle of the interview, the best. The industry has definitely changed. It keeps on changing. What that's led to is moments where I sometimes reflect and I think to myself, what's next? But as I said, I still care and I still want to be here. But the minute that changes, you'll be the first to know. Now, if you are in journalism right now, or if you're thinking about it, I would love to know, what questions do you have? Drop them in the comments because maybe this kind of conversation becomes a series. I don't know. You tell me. And if this was helpful, share it with a journalism student or with someone who's trying to decide whether to stay in the business. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.